What is a flex you're proud of, but too embarrassed to show it off? Have a GoPro video I posted in 2008, with 16 million views. It's me, crashing on my bike, and breaking a rib. Basically, a 3 minutes POV video of me moaning, has been viewed by scary portion of the population, lol. I have a fanfic account, with a story, that has more than 3 million views. Except I wrote it and posted it, then never logged back in. So, I didn't find out, until like 10 years later, that I was fanfic famous, and a lot of people were really pissed, that I never finished the story, LMAO. Finish the story, and point me toward it. It's called, A Short Story of Lily and Snape, and it is horribly written, by a 14-year-old, LMAO, and I probably won't ever finish it, because I'm 30 now, and those books just don't resonate with me, anymore. I would not even slightly recommend reading it, as it is, very bad. I can deep throat a popsicle, all the way down the end of the stick, without gagging. Only problem is, that I'm a straight dude. So far. Well, if things ever get desperate, I know exactly what to do. I'm 5 years clean off heroin, after 13 years on it. I moved and started over, and don't want anyone to know I was a junkie. Honestly, that's incredible, but it's just as incredible to go 13 years on heroin, and be alive. Keep it up, friend. I don't know you, but you are loved. Yeah, I don't know why I'm still alive. I've OD'd more times than I can remember, lost 8 friends to ODs, I'm just glad I'm not dead or in prison. Starting completely over has been really hard, but not as hard as it was being an addict. And thank you, I love you too. I have a very sensitive nose. I can smell things that others don't, or are not bothered. Embarrassing because, after knowing women for about 2 months, I can tell they have their period. I can pick out different people's smell, after I know them for a bit. Not something you tell other people. I advise my wife that she may want to keep some items handy about 2 days before she starts. She thinks it's sweet that I track her period for her. In actuality, it's my nose. I've never told her, because I do not want her to be self-conscious. Yeah, I learned a long time ago not to mention it. Keen nose gang. It's a blessing and a curse. I know when food is going to turn, before it turns. I know when a bathroom stall has just been used by someone on her period. I have woken up from a dead sleep by smelling fire, and looked it up to learn, yes, there is a fire all the way across the city. I feel as though it deepens my appreciation of good food and good smelling things and people. Some people smell so good. And I don't mean because of the products they use, I mean their skin, and sweat, and pheromones. Healthy people with healthy diets, and healthy biomes, tend to just smell really pleasant. But I also am scent gagging and retching from certain bad smells, because they are so potent to me, that other people seem to barely detect, unless they stick their nose in it. I never ever throw meat, or meat packaging, away in the kitchen trash, because I won't even be able to enter the room within 2 days. All meat scraps and packaging have to go directly to the outdoor trash. And Lord help me, if I even walk past a bathroom that a person with a bad gut biome has pooped in, sometime in the previous several hours. I have 21 million views on my copyrighted video of Sexy and I Know It by LMFAO. I posted it when I was 7, and was uploading random videos to YouTube. I love how they came out, with I'm Sexy and I Know It, followed by Party Rockin', which was immediately followed by Sorry for Party Rocking, and then completely disappeared. I mean, the lore isn't too crazy. Sky Blue and his uncle Red Foo are the two dudes' stage names. Sky Blue got injured in 2012, and according to legend, Red just ditched him, continuing to tour without him. This caused some bad blood between them, and they separated. Like all stories, though there's most definitely a F-load more nuance than that, the few articles I skimmed to bring you this info were vague concerning the injury, and what exactly happened after. I'll choose to believe they were truly sorry for Party Rockin'. My wife is a doctor in neurosurgery. I love bragging about her, but she is very humble and reserved about it. Doesn't want people calling her doctor, and prefer others don't know her profession. As a 2-time survivor of brain cancer, your wife is a hero. 2 times? You, my guy, are one tough nail. My daughter is 13 months old. This means that I've lived with her and cared for her over 4 times as long as my dad did for me. He left when I was 3 months old. Later in life, he'd always mock me for being afraid of things and tell me I was a sissy. But every day, I'm doing what he couldn't. Guess, I'm not so weak after all. My daughter is 25 months old. I'm a stay-at-home dad. I've never met my father. You're doing great, buddy. I can burp louder than a lawnmower. Edit, yes, lawnmowers don't burp. I'm referring to the fact, I can burp around 96 decibels, 98 being my all-time best, likely not accurate, as I really doubt smartphone decibel meters count for scientific accuracy. Google reports, lawnmowers, at about 94 decibels. I've survived a 12-hour brain surgery through my nose. When I was 12, 22 now, I had a very serious brain tumor. The doctors were pretty worried I wouldn't survive the surgery, and if I did, they knew there was a high possibility I wouldn't wake up, and they were sure I would be blind. None of those things happened after my brain surgery. Last month was my 10-year anniversary of being alive. In January I moved from my home in NC, where my parents are, all the way to Montana. I'm serving with AmeriCorps, and living independently, doing such cool things. My 10-year MRI was last month. I'm all clean, and now approved for 3-year gaps before my MRIs. If it weren't for people, like my doctors, and especially the nurses, I wouldn't be here. I'm proud that I went through that, even at such a young age. It was rough and terrifying, but also made me who I am today. It's what gives me the courage to persevere, even when times are hard. I have the patience of a saint. I can calmly handle every situation, no matter how stressful or traumatic. I have to pretend to get angry with my kids over stuff, so that my wife doesn't seem like the bad guy. Now she scolds me for shouting at the kids, and I have to humor her by saying, I'll be more patient. I was questioned, on multiple occasions, by the FBI, regarding being a witness to a terrorist attack. The questioning sessions were long, detailed, stressful, and took place far from my home, for safety reasons. As they had picked me up for one of them, the special agents were given instructions to then drop me off at home after the recordings and interviews were completed. I was starving, so, in the back of the unmarked car, I piped up and asked if we could stop at a drive-thru to grab some food. That's how I still have FBI business cards of the agents who interviewed me, with their mobile numbers written on them, along with a Burger King receipt they insisted on paying. We all sat in the parking lot and ate Burger King together. Extremely surreal time in my life. Yes, the terrorists were caught. One dead, one in Supermax prison. I was also questioned by both the FBI and Secret Service, but for very different reasons. My best friend worked his way up in the military, and then as a civilian contractor, who needed top-secret clearances, and as his best friend, who lived with him, and dated his sister, I was heavily questioned, to help approve his clearances. They really dig deep, for that stuff. I entered a pub quiz, while on holiday, when I was about 10 years old with my family. The prize money was €300, and there were about 30 teams. I won by a margin, and my family didn't answer a single question. My mom and dad still talk about it, 20 years later. I have a ridiculously good brain for general knowledge, and otherwise useless trivia. At age 29, I was diagnosed with ADHD, and it turns out that my hyper-focusing on random and pointless topics is actually pretty neat. My ass looks like I make a conscious effort. I've been accused multiple times over my life of having a barrel or implants. I'm poor, and I don't exercise. It's just the way I'm built, and it's not for any type of gene. Anytime I take a date up to my place, and we are taking the stairs, if they are behind me, all I get is a goddamn. About halfway through the walk up. I have ASD and social anxiety. So, whenever I forget the rule of not letting a first date walk behind me up the stairs, I lose all my game and get flustered. My nickname in high school was effing Asperger's. I can squat 650 pounds, but never tell anyone, because I feel like I'll sound like one of those guys whose entire personality is lifting. Impressive, holy shit. I get that. I got to the 1,000 pounds club a decade ago, but never told anyone. I despise gym bro culture. I only work out for the good of me and my family. Seen too many old-timers bent over, barely able to get themselves out of a chair, to let my body wither like that. I can name around 1,200 species of plants and trees, native to the Appalachian region of Ohio. I've had this skill since I was a preteen. I'm incredibly annoying to hike with, due to my incessant babble about wildlife. I grew up at a summer camp, nature preserve, that my parents managed, spending the bulk of my time out in the forest, with field identification guides. This one time, a stripper asked for my number, after a night out with my friends. She was hot and really fun to talk to. We went out a few times, and spent a night together. Always, when I bring up the story, I receive mocking comments for her, or me, or both, so, I don't really bother anymore. But it's a flex, right? It is. That sucks. Stripping is a job, and she shouldn't be mocked for it. Also, it's cool that she recognized you were a quality guy. Strippers have to deal with a bunch of disrespectful holes, so, her thinking you were cool is like a massive green flag, in my opinion. Yeah, absolutely. We were both studying at the time, and she definitely made more money than me. That was my thought train too, like, I must have been good company, cause she could have gotten anyone to go out with her back then. I went from being denied acceptance into every college I applied to getting my master's, becoming a doctor, and owing 2 practices. F them colleges. What a effing W. F them colleges. My undergrad major advisor told me she couldn't give me a recommendation because she had to protect the profession. I have a PhD and help people in crisis now. I feel like I could have written this myself to a T. She eventually apologized and now asks me to speak to her graduating college seniors. When I talk to them, I always bring up the fact that she didn't believe in me, and now I am considered one of the most specialized people in my profession, in the region I live in. My point in bringing it up is to not let one person stop you from accomplishing your dreams, because if you do, you will be missing out on something great. I've had multiple women tell me I'm the best sex they've ever had. One said to me she had to reassess all her previous relationships' sex because of it. I told my then current partner this, and she looked at me and said, "Yeah, obviously. Was that not obvious? You know how many men that say publicly that they're good in bed? Apparently a lot of them. And it's a basic indicator that he's terrible in bed. Better to be surprised." An ex, who chose to end a 5-year-long relationship with me, reached out after about 2 years of not talking at all to meet up, cause she would like to talk. We started having a normal conversation, then all of a sudden, she started saying that, "I miss seeing a pair of eyes like yours, and you should also know that sex with you was effing great." She kept telling me that while we were together, but her saying it like that, after 2 years of not even talking, really confirmed it. I have to admit, she was amazing too. Not really embarrassed, I just don't get a chance to share the story. We were driving on a gravel road, with no turnaround, and there are cars behind us. I need to pee. It's about 30 more minutes before we can stop, so I grab an empty 32 ounces Gatorade bottle, and fill it back up. TLDR, my bladder can hold 32 ounces. The one time I had to give a urine sample at the doctor's, I was surprised how quickly the bottle filled up, and how much more was still to come. I didn't even feel like I needed to pee. I think people's bladders store a lot more than we think. Pee is weird. Sometimes, I feel like I have to go really bad, and hardly pee at all. Other times, I'm like, I should probably pee before bed or go on this drive, and then pee, for like 5 minutes, even though I didn't really feel the need to go. I have been clean for 17 years from meth. Most people in my life, now, don't know I ever battled with drugs. It still blows my mind, people think I belong in this corporate world, when I literally have been homeless, doing whatever I needed to do, to get high. I have a series of books nearly complete, but want to finish the full set before publishing. I have gone 15 years writing, with virtually no feedback, beyond a couple pages. I do worry that it'll just never be good enough, and I'll trick myself into working on it 5 years longer than I should. Brandon Sanderson is one of the best-selling authors now, but he wrote 13 full books before he published one. Never stop growing as an artist. Even if it's just for you, artistic creation seems to be good for the human mind. I finished No Nut November, when it was popular, after having a porn addiction, for 10 years. December 1st must have been like that ectoplasm scene in South Park. I actually didn't do it again for another week. I just kinda stopped wanting to. After 20 days it's the hardest, but after 30, you kinda forget you can. I don't know. Didn't feel like I wanted to anymore. It was amazing. I've been hired as a nude model for art classes, medical schools, and physical therapy workshops. Proud of it, because I'm an engineering nerd who never thought I'd be any type of model. Embarrassed, because the few people I've told in person responded with derision. Embarrassed, because the few people I've told in person responded with derision. Oh, look, jerks. Good for you. My bro. That modeling is a total flex. And if I had a friend who told me they nude modeled for art class, I'd be amazed. I've heard it is tough to pose for such a long time, no matter how comfortable the position. I've also heard that these models usually have either or both a classically beautiful physique, or an elegant and interesting body type. My thoughts are that the info you divulge is wasted on the wrong audience. I'm glad you know of the difficulty. Not just physically, but mentally, too, trying to come up with interesting but feasible poses for artists, and helpful and encouraging feedback for the medical students. I think their judgment is focused on the nudity, and the assumption that it's degrading work, while in reality, the people I've worked with are so respectful and appreciative. I have a medical defect that makes me have 2 wombs and vaginas, lol. I only found out a few years ago, but it is a flex, I tell a few people, lol. Why did you only find out a few years ago that you have 2 vaginas? Because women ain't taken seriously in healthcare, and it was missed for 28 years, 2 V-sections, also a double womb missed, and countless other ops, to find out what was wrong with me. Turns out, it was that, lol. I can remain calm under extreme pressure or traumatic events. I've pulled 2 people, in separate occasions, out of car accidents. One person was deceased upon me seeing them, but I still tried CPR for 20 minutes. The other one was a mother and a child. The mother got out, but had a broken leg, and couldn't get her kid out. I got him out, and did CPR, he ended up surviving. I also survived the Boston Marathon, and helped aid people around me. I drove home completely naked, because I wrapped every inch of my clothes on other people, as tourniquets. As far as I know, I saved about 6 people. And fun fact, I can't stand the sight of blood. Somehow, adrenaline makes me forget that it's blood. I could never be a EMS worker, or healthcare worker. I get really good, really fast, at any skill I pick up. This sucks, because it pretty much makes me the guy who everyone call to fix and make random things. I'm with you on that. The only problem is that I am not great with mastery. Yeah, I can pick up anything and be good at it quickly, but often, if someone picks it up at the same time I do, they eventually get better than me. It's weird. I'm a project manager for this company for a year now, 9 years PM experience total, and was assigned my first C-suite visible project. The CEO and board of directors were receiving status report presentations from me regularly. We're 6 months along at this point, and I was giving the standard presentation on Friday when the CEO gave me a not short compliment in front of everyone. I'm especially proud because I don't have a degree or a PMP cert. Just been working my ass up the ladder since high school. I'm 37 now. TLDR, CEO complimented me in front of entire C-suite board. I have released a series of moderately successful, self-published books, paid off my house and car, but still go to work every day. My wife doesn't know our mortgage is paid, and kids have £25,000 aside each when they are 18. Reason: I love working my day job and don't trust her with money. Ridiculous, and yet necessary for peace. I can sing soprano as a straight male dude. I will only karaoke in family functions, because a few times I did it in front of friends, and they started to call me Celine D-Bag. Never again. Your friends sound like D-bags. Why in the world would you be embarrassed by that? I'm jealous. Ha, dude, I share the same skill. I throw down on karaoke nights with my family. They love when I sing, because I can go incredibly high into the 6th octave, but have a very normal deep male voice, so it's always a shock to everyone. I tend to sing more classic rock, with sky-piercing high notes, like Judas Priest, Queensryche, etc. But I have been known to throw down with some Celine Dion as well, haha. Dude, there's are too few of us, but yes, classical rock bellows are my favorite, haha. My go-to is Bon Jovi songs. Judas songs are technically too taxing for me to do drunk, haha. My family loves it too, though it does make family events sort of stressful. I have to perform and prep myself, while everyone else just gets to have fun, lol. I have tetrachromatic vision. I have an extra cone, due to a gene mutation. I can see about 99 million more colors than a person with normal color vision. I don't really talk about it, because it seems so weird to talk about, and because people want me to describe colors that they can't even see, which is very difficult, especially when the difference is subtle, to me. They're never happy with, well, it's a bit more yellow than the color next to it. And it feels like bragging, because I didn't do anything to earn it, it's just how I was born. But I love getting to see all those colors, like the world is sharing a secret with me. I'm way too observant sometimes. It can be good, but also, not the greatest thing. Too aware, lol. That, mixed with my memory. It's either one of the greatest things occasionally, or a BS detector, but causes me stress, lmo. Me too. Amazing how many people change their story after the event. Either misremembering, or just flat out lying, to suit themselves. I stopped calling people out for it a long time ago, unless I absolutely have to, because it's a good way to make yourself unpopular. I learn things really quickly, especially things that use brain power, not body coordinations. New languages, both natural and programming, theories, new fields of knowledge. In fact, I learned so quickly that when I was in primary school, my mother forbid me to ever tell other kids how much time I spend on learning for exams and doing homeworks, because nobody would ever believe me. It's hard, especially because I work as a programmer with brilliant people, and they keep asking what I do, because they want to get to my level. And I am just wasting my life on Reddit, instead of doing some certificates, like they do. Last night, I finished a very difficult video game. I had been replaying on the highest difficulty, and on a permadeath mode. If you die, you start over from scratch. But also last night, my best friend had a baby boy with his wife, so, sharing the video game win doesn't matter to me now, because new little dude just dropped, and he's so much cooler. Between the pandemic and having a second kid, I gained a ton of weight in the last 5 years. A couple months ago, I finally started getting semi-serious about losing weight. My goal was to hit 200 pounds by my birthday, down about 15 to 20 pounds from my max weight. Yesterday was my birthday, and I weighed 198. I'm proud of the progress, but embarrassed to share, because I am still very overweight. I was considered a failure in high school, teachers pretty much ignored me, and the counselors ignored me, as I was hopeless. Turned out, I had autism, which was causing me intense distress, as I couldn't figure out why I was so different, despite my best efforts not to be. But I straightened myself out, got into an Ivy League college, then med school, and now have been practicing medicine for over 10 years.